As you know, tomorrow is Peace Day, and nobody is as excited for the big celebration as I am. I am not scientifically possible!
Hello, fellow basement dwellers, and in today's video, I would like to talk about the top 5 primarchs who were most excited for the end of the Great Crusade. Just to clarify, this list doesn't mean which primarchs were like pacifists and which primarchs, hated war. It's just who wanted the wars to end. So if you have to burn down 1 million planets to get peace, then that's good. Alright, so out of all the primarchs, the primarch who wanted the Great Crusade to end the 5th most is Roboute Guilliman. Now, it's pretty obvious this guy was here. He's not a warmonger. He doesn't really enjoy war, although he is very good at it and more than happy to do it. He pretty much just wants to empire build. If the Great Crusade ended, I could really just see this guy chilling out in Ultramar, maybe helping his dad and Malcador, set up the government. And, still stand on a large, Ultramarine military force in case of any, threats or rebellions pop up. Yeah, but this guy really, really just loved politicking and, of course, just loved empire building and managing. So yeah, he wanted to just manage Ultramar. He even actually, I think he was the most prepared, or at least one of the most prepared for, a time of peace, because he would actually, towards the end of the Great Crusade, would actually teach his Space Marines to be governors, politicians, lawyers, judges, doctors, police officers. I can't imagine having a 700-pound dude give you a parking I can't imagine a freaking all-muscle 700-pound dude giving you a parking ticket, but that's pretty funny. So yeah, all things considered, he just wasn't a very violent dude and just kind of wanted to chill out. Alright, next up on the list, Perturabo. Perturabo, the Lord of Iron, despite his brutal tactics during the Great Crusade, for example, he was so brutal to his men that the, normal mortal human troops who'd serve under him, not the Space Marines, would continuously rebel and commit, self-deletion, because they knew that they'd meet such a brutal end and such a brutal life under him, that the only troops he was given command of later on were criminals and, penal regiments. This was Horus's idea, which wasn't that bad. But despite his brutal reputation, his brutal siege engines, all this, World War I-esque individual. By the way, look up, World War I, tactics. This was, he pretty much brings World War I into space, and that is very brutal. But despite his brutality, during the events of Angel Exterminatus, towards the end, the Primarch Fulgrim, who's been corrupted by chaos, is trying to pretty much convince Perturabo to, pretty much give him his life essence. And so to do this, he pretty much shows Perturabo his ultimate fantasy. So Perturabo is trapped in his ultimate demonic fantasy. Keep in mind, the entire galaxy is his. Everything could be his in this demonic Slaneshi fantasy. That's kind of like a dream. It's kind of like a dream state. And do you want to know what this is? It is simply him on Olympia with a massive library. All of Olympia is running smooth like a clock. Everything's beautiful. He's sitting in this massive library studying engineering while drinking wine. That is genuine. And by the way, he's not even king of Olympia. Okay, he kind of is, but in the same way how Queen Elizabeth was queen. Well, yeah, I'm in charge, but I let other people make decisions, or I just kind of chill out. So his ultimate goal wasn't to lead. His ultimate goal was to just chill out, studying engineering, and building beautiful cities. And on top of that, do you want to know what Olympia's, head export was? It wasn't wine, it wasn't parchment, it wasn't olive oil. It was negotiators and diplomats. Negotiators and diplomats. He wanted to pretty much develop a massive army on Olympia of diplomats. So he pretty much just wanted a galaxy free of war. I could honestly see an argument that he should be higher on this list. But yeah, that's what he wanted Olympia to be. A giant, beautiful pleasure world, pretty much. Teaching people how to, go out into the galaxy and solve conflicts throughout the galaxy without violence. Still sitting on top of a big, Iron Warriors army, but only if the worst comes to worst. So yeah, this dude did not want war. Not to mention he did not enjoy trench warfare or being treated like dirt. Also, the fact that his favorite The only times he really seemed happy is when he was working on engineering and being just loved by those around him, so he definitely was not a big warmonger. Alright, next up on this list, Magnus the Red. Half the time this dude was quote-unquote great crusading, he was literally just bouncing around. No, not half the time, 99% of the time. He was literally just bouncing around the galaxy trying to find cool stuff to collect. Literally just going around just finding cool stuff to write down, you know, history, art. But bro was literally just a galactic node emoji, just trying to go around and find cool stuff. Yeah, he did have an army of 10,000 wizards who arguably were the strongest Space Marine Legion because of just how powerful they were. Don't worry about minus the flesh change. Due to the flesh change, they're very unreliable. Very powerful, but very unreliable. But he never really cared about war. He really kind of wanted wars to end. Like, during the end of the Great Crusade, right before the Horus Heresy, you know, before he got split into shards, he was super chill. Like, he was literally just chilling possible. The war was already over for him. Like, the Great Crusade was already over for him, and he was literally just researching the flesh change to stop it. Like, he did not care about the Great Crusade at all. He didn't conquer too many planets. He did conquer a couple, but the only planets he conquered were very old planets that had a bunch of knowledge for him to study. So, even then, when it comes to the Great Crusade, the only times he actually, you know, contributed was for his own research. So, the Great Crusade was a side project. For him, it was collecting knowledge. Again, all these guys could be high on the list, but alright, so, again, for him, the Great Crusade was probably over 5 minutes after the Emperor, you know, took his eyes off of him. So yeah, he wanted the Great Crusade to end, he just wanted to go be a bookworm. Magnus was funny. Yes, the current Magnus is a warmonger, but that's because all of his, like, noble and chillness and kind of just relaxed, you know, studying, got physically shadowed out of him. It'd be like if you had a glass vase and, like, pieces of the glass, and, like, there's some big chunks of the glass vase that just want to chill out and be a glass vase. You shadow it, you take that shard who wants to just be a chill glass vase, you throw it away, or give it to a Grey Knight, and then you reform the glass vase, and of course the glass vase is going to be a dickhead because you removed all the niceness. Anyway, so, next up on our list, Dorn. Now, there was one reason why Dorn is here. He could not comprehend why Horus would betray the Emperor. No, it's not that he couldn't comprehend it. He didn't believe it. Even when given evidence, he refused to believe it. And this was his logic. Traitors? My brother would never betray the Emperor. Not due to faith in his brother. Although, a good part of it was faith, because Dorn and Horus were good friends. The majority of it was, he would pretty much be like, oh, no one would ever betray the Imperium. We get to relax. Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone betray the Imperium? The bro was such a cinder block. The bro was such a brick that he couldn't wrap his mind around why someone would betray the Emperor. And why someone would perpetuate war. Like, he couldn't comprehend it. And again, Dorn being so high up the list is the exact reason why wanting wars to end and, you know, contribute and, you know, joining wars are completely different. Dorn fought the most with the Emperor and was in some of the most battles. He was one of the most war-tested primarchs, or one of the most war-tested legions, but he never enjoyed it. It was just a job. It was just a means to an end. He didn't enjoy the war, even though he was one of the most war-type primarchs. Same thing with Guilliman. Even though both of these men were always in war, always doing something, always waging war, it was a means to an end. They didn't enjoy it. So yeah, Dorn physically couldn't comprehend why anyone would betray the Emperor because he wanted peace so badly. Like, all he wanted to do was, the Great Crusade ends, he builds massive palaces on Terra, he builds massive, just beautiful things. I do believe there's a little snippet, I can't remember where the Emperor at some point wanted to re-terraform Earth to make it, you know, like how Earth used to be. No longer this dry desert, but a beautiful thing. I imagine Dorn would have been more than happy to help with that and build, you know, beautiful structures and beautiful monuments and just beautiful infrastructure on top of that. I could really see that he would kind of turn the Imperial Fist into a peacekeeping force that would pretty much just travel the galaxy, going around human planet and just building beautiful monuments, beautiful and structural, teaching people how to, engineer, pretty much setting engineering schools for humans across the galaxy, because the Imperial Fist can't be everywhere at once. So I imagine he'd just be, going around teaching people how to engineer, building beautiful monuments, terraforming. I imagine he would do a lot of terraforming. I'm imagining he and his legion would be doing a lot of, terraforming, in terms of, finding a planet that's pretty desolate or just really hostile, making it beautiful, making it very livable. Even if, and of course colonizing planets, but I imagine mostly terraforming in case we need these planets later. On top of that, I could kind of see him, sticking relatively close to the Emperor, staying on off, keeping on the government, keeping on the military, but sending most of his Imperial Fists out on their own to, build stuff, but then they'd come back, leave and come back. So Earth would pretty much be a hub of engineering and architectural. And that's what Dorn really wanted. He did not want war. Alright, next up on our list, and the Primarch who was pretty much a pacifist. Well, not really, but kinda. That is Angron. I'm kidding. That is Lorgar. Lorgar has like a million quotes where he's just like, I never wanted to be a soldier. I never wanted to be a general. He literally just wanted to be a galactic woman. Even then, how the Ward Bears would take over planets 90% of the time. They wouldn't, kick down the door and start shooting, or even, negotiate, then start shooting. They would literally just continue, are you home? Knocking on people's doors until they just let them in and just talk to them. There were dozens of planets that weren't even taken, but pretty much all the planets taken by the Ward Bears were peaceful planets. I'm sorry, pretty much all the planets that were taken by the Ward Bears, they took over peacefully without filing a single bolt shell. There were obviously some that, refused to do that, and they had to, use some military force and then stay there, but pretty much Lorgar would take over a planet, usually via just peace, or using the bare minimum violence required, stay on that planet for years, if not decades, converting them to Emperor worship and just writing fanfics about his daddy. So, quite literally, Lorgar's Great Crusade was 99% just chilling on planets, converting people to Emperor worship, and literally just writing fanfics. Again, very similar to Magnus, to where literally the Great Crusade was just a backdrop where he's just, doing his own thing. Obviously, Magnus was collecting, and this guy's, converting, but again, very similar to Magnus. So, there's no world where this guy... Again, I want to clarify, this is like during the middle of the Great Crusade. I'm rating all these guys based on the middle of the Great Crusade. Obviously, later on, Perturabo kind of crashed out after, he fought the Hood and blew up his... Well, genocide his planet. Obviously, Lorgar, towards the end of the Great Crusade, when he kind of, got smacked by the Emperor and, started taking out his planets. Later in, Lorgar loved violence and loved just revenge, loved just hate, and would just steamroll through planets, just wiping out everything. But mid, Great Crusade, Lorgar, like 100 years through, halfway through, really, really relaxed, dude. He would just kind of, again, mostly just chill out, writing and, preaching. And he really wanted the Great Crusade to end so he could just write around preach. Because, again, this was at the point in time in his life where he thought the Emperor was a god. But he thought the reason why he thought that the Emperor told him he's not a god is because that was a test. So he thought that after the Great Crusade, he could literally just go planet to planet, converting people. So, again, Lorgar, I think, wanted the Great Crusade to end the most because he just wanted to write fanfics about his dad. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I can't believe I'm already at 400. Thank you. By the way, this is the entire list here, where it shows everyone based on blue means they wanted the war to end. Yellow means they were somewhat indifferent. They wanted it to end, but they also didn't. And red means they want it to continue. And obviously the numbers next to them, Horus wanted the war to last longest. And, kind of just go on forever. Meanwhile, Lorgar wanted to end immediately. So, thank you for watching. This is the whole list right here, and I will catch you in the next one. Please subscribe.